All right, ladies and gentlemen, there is an elephant in the room that we need to talk about today. There is a massive problem coming to Honkai Star Rail. And what you're going to see on my screen over here is an upcoming character, limited 5-star, that's going to be arriving to the game in version 3.2, or basically the patch after the current one that's about to happen right now. And let me just say that this is quite possibly the most pay-to-win, disgusting business practice that these devs at Hoyoverse have ever come up with. It's something that has the potential to dramatically change the landscape of gacha games, not just for Honkai Star Rail, but for every single game under the Hoyoverse umbrella. And in order to discuss this topic and actually drive some course of action to get it removed from the game, we're gonna have to dive into some pre-release data. And let me just say that I am somebody that typically never, ever wants to cover leaks on my channel. And today, we're not even going to be going through anything in regards to her kit, except one line in her passive. Really, just one paragraph in one of her passives that has the potential to completely rip apart both the balance of the game, the structure of the end game, and honestly, just ruin the entire game as a whole. And so with that, this isn't going to be like some sort of like, oh, and now I'm like transitioning over into covering leaks. It's nothing like that. There are people that just chase clout, right? By uploading leaks for every single video that they do. And then there are people, right, that are going to blow the whistle on ridiculous, absurd business practices and actually ensure, right, that those things that are going to damage the game and ruin it don't actually make it to live. And this character, as well as the other character releasing alongside her, Anaxa, these are the characters that will ruin Honkai Star Rail. And so with that, what I wanted to talk about today was, of course, and we'll just dive into it by just looking at one frame of this video by Axe, who's decided as well to whistleblow on this ridiculous situation, Castorice's global passive. And this is the situation here when it comes to this character. By simply pulling her, by simply having her on your account, you gain a free revive. You are able to, in extremely challenging endgame content, with enemies that are able to one-shot you if you fail to interact with their mechanics, or you fail to do certain things across the fight, you will get a free revive on your team, regardless of if she's on the team or not. Anaxa, the other character releasing alongside Castorice, they're another character that's going to have one of these global passives, a buff to your team. I'm not particularly sure what it is. The only one I've seen is Castorice's. I heard that this one is related to damage. And guess what, guys? They're releasing 2 of these global passive characters in the same goddamn patch. And guess what? Guess what? If this works out well, if this sells, if this is something that's as predatory as Mavuika and Solali banner, which we know was one of the worst things the Genshin devs have ever done, but made them a lot of money, they are for sure going to be doing this again. And guess what, guys? This sets one of the worst precedents that the game has ever seen, where suddenly she's now a must pull because the enemies in Amphorius, as we've all seen from the enemies in Amphorius, right? Things like Nikador, they hit really hard. They hit really often. And they have a lot of potential to one-shot you. Man, I bet a free revive in content like this, I bet a free revive against a boss like this, which has claimed so many runs with its one-shot move. I wonder what Castorice's passive would have done for them, right? I wonder what Castorice's passive would have done to make these clears easier and essentially, right, make the game much more manageable for players, as long as they're spending money and they're pulling on each banner. What does this mean for the MOC? What does this mean for the design that the devs are going to do? What the end result that's going to happen is that these characters, with their broken, overpowered global passives, will become actual must pulls because the content in the present is extremely hard without them. And the content is going to scale more and more and more. These devs are going to push the fucking envelope for how predatory they can be, how predatory they can make all of these banners and these characters. And it'll get to the point, ladies and gentlemen, where you're going to need her and her global passive. You're going to need him and his global passive. Fuck it. Who else? Who else is here? You're gonna need him with his global passive too. And every other goddamn character that's in Amphorius if you want to clear the endgame content. Because guess what? These devs, they both know what they're doing and they also don't know what they're doing. They know what they're doing from the perspective that they know they've got so many players on a fucking collar and leash that will defend the game with every single fiber of their being. They're going ahead. They're doing a dual pincer maneuver attack on their own community where they're going to actively censor every single complaint if they feel like it is low effort. They've already made a public post about it, about how they're going to censor their own subreddit for every single complaint. And you can guess what, guys? Once these global passives and these absurd benefits go to live, that's exactly what these mods are going to do. They're going to ensure that everybody calling it predatory, pay to win, bad for the game, their posts get removed or they get segregated off to like some mega thread that nobody ever looks at. They're going to ensure that whatever opinion is being held by the devs for the direction of the game, that's the only opinion that people will ever get to talk about. And it's a sad fate for the game, where you have to go ahead and to reach the full power of a character, you don't have to pull for them. You don't have to pull for their signature. What you do have to do is you have to pull for them, their signature, their best in slot support, their best in slot sustain, and then also every other limited character in Amphorius, because for them to reach their full power, guys, you're going to have all of those global passives available as well. And boy, oh boy, imagine that. To reach a character's full strength, you can't even get their E6 anymore. You got to get their E6 and then every other character in Amphorius. What a sad reality. What a sad reality for anyone that mains a character. What a sad reality for anyone that just wants to, really likes a certain character and wants to make them as strong as possible at E0. Oh my goodness. And the thing is, this is only the start. This is Hoyoverse continuing to push the envelope as far as they possibly can when it comes to how predatory they can make their game. And it's a worrying trend. I've seen it start ever since December. They released Hoshimi Miyabi in ZZZ in 1.4 at the end of December, a character who just completely power crept every other release in the game. Then they did this in Genshin 5.3, where their Phase 1 banners were both of the two newest characters. And then they proceeded to give their 20 pulls for Lantern Rite after their banners. So if you wanted either of them, maybe both, you had to pay. And nobody knew that they were going to be running together. People thought it was going to be one after another, and then it was going to be switched over like this. But that didn't happen. That did not happen, ladies and gentlemen. And now they're going ahead and they're adding characters that, when pulled, buff every other unit on your account. I think the part that nobody is really factoring in is people like her, right? They're like, oh, Death Waifu. Ooh, Seal version 2. Ooh, look at her scythe. It's so big and cool. I love her butterflies. Castorice is a character that people like. Imagine that this overpowered, extremely useful, incredibly strong global passive that we're seeing over here, it's on a character you don't like. Imagine it's on a character that you don't like. And now to get the strongest team possible, or to be able to clear the endgame modes, you have to go ahead and you have to start pulling all of these characters, right? Whose designs you're maybe not into, whose kits you're maybe not fully jiving with, just to access that full power. And I think people are just letting it slide. I think people are just not really speaking out more if they aren't right now, simply due to the fact that they like this character. And boy, oh boy, this sets one of the most worrying precedents in the fucking space. Because once they succeed here, guys, they're going to be doing it even more in ZZZ. They're going to be doing it even more in Genshin. Genshin Impact already has global buffs. Genshin Impact already has global buffs, ladies and gentlemen. But it's only to things like crafting or material gathering. So it's not really a huge deal. Nobody really cares about it too much. But imagine Genshin starts adding global passives that start benefiting combat too. Oh boy. And then every single endgame we start seeing across these games start scaling. Not with just your character, not with just the limited characters, right? And the super predatory blessings, not just the new limited supports that buff those overpowered new characters, but now the new MOCs, the new pure fictions, the new apocalyptic shadows, they're gonna start factoring in whether or not you have those global passives. And believe me, there is going to be so much FOMO. There's gonna be so much, oh, if only I pulled Castorice. Oh, if only I pulled an Axa, I would have been able to clear this. Wow. That's one way to drive sales, but that's one way to also alienate and make your existing player base, some of your most dedicated players, some of your highest spenders, right, absolutely hate the fucking game, because it's not like the game is getting better. It's not like they're fixing things. They're just actively making the game worse. And the worst part about all of this, guys, they're doing all of this after talking about how they're going to fix older characters, how they're going to like buff them, how they're going to like fix the game, make it a better journey experience. Is this their definition? Is this their definition of making older characters feel better? Hey, If you want to use your older characters, just pull all of these new ones that have the global passives. Then your old characters are going to become playable. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. Just pull all these characters with global passives. And now they're going to buff all your old ones back to the level where they need to be. Really, that's where we're going now. It is unbelievable. It is unbelievable that there is anybody defending this to any degree. What we need to do as players, what we need to do as anybody who even enjoys any gacha game at all, is shout this down. Do something. Talk about it on the Reddits. Talk about it on the Discords. Just talk about it enough to make enough of a ruckus. This isn't like at the point where we're like, oh, her kit looks so cool. Oh, I love what this does. This is people getting pissed and understanding that their game is in grave danger right now. And if this trend starts, if it's not removed, if they don't fix this and rebalance all of these bullshit new additions to the game, then the game is going to die for a lot of people. And if you're somebody that's defending this, right, I'm 90% sure you're only defending it because you like this character. It's because you like this character, you like her design, you like how she looks. And if this passive that you're seeing over here was on like a fucking dude or something, you guys would be screaming. You guys would be pissing yourselves. You guys would be throwing shit at the wall. You guys would be so mad if that was the actual reality. And so what we need to do is look past the gooner bait, look past the waifu meta, and actually take a look at what is in front of you. Because let's be honest here, if we see this in ZZZ, if we see this in Genshin, boy, oh fucking boy, we might be seeing this in Wuwa too. Because if this becomes the trend for games moving forward, oh, we need to find one more FOMO-induced way to drive sales. Oh man, the gacha space is no longer going to be in a good spot. The gacha space is going to be in a really, really, really bad spot. All we can pray is that this doesn't make it to live, that these characters just release as regular fucking units, not the premium of the premium, creme de la creme, cream of the crop, that just takes the balance of the game and throws it out of whack. We don't need them to be a must pull. We don't want them to be broken to the point where if you don't have them, you feel like you're at an active loss in your account. And if this trend continues, the gacha space is fucking doomed. So yeah, like I said before, I typically never cover pre-release content, and this is one of the only exceptions that I am going to make. I will take this video down as well if this is actually removed too. I will take this video down if this feature is removed from their kits, and I will not be covering anything else in regards to them, because holy fuck, this is one of the worst things I've ever seen planned for the game, and we need to talk about it now. We need to get it removed now if we want the game to actually become better. And you know for fucking sure, with how these mods censor the game or censor complaints about the game, they're not going to let any real discussion about this happen until it's far too late, the damage is already done, and the game is already ruined. This right over here, this toxic positivity by the mod team, this is what's going to kill the game combined with this. And one thing people might be thinking is, oh, why are you covering this so early? Why aren't you just waiting until this is released and so you can comment on how predatory it is once it's actually in the game? And the reason why it's mandatory to cover this early is because Hoyoverse, due to lawsuits, cannot actually nerf a character after they are on the live servers. They have a legal obligation not to do that because it's going to devalue the money that people are potentially spending on the units. It's in CN. It's a very CN thing. And guess what, guys? If this doesn't get critiqued, if it makes it through the beta and it goes onto the live servers, it will just be in the game. It will be in the fucking game, and it's going to be in the game likely until the end of time. And every new character that's going to come out after this, boy, how do you think it's going to work? Where now people know that if they pull the newest character, they're coming with a global passive. Do you think that there's going to be another character released that doesn't have a global passive after this? Why would anybody pull a new 5-star unit unless they have a global passive? All the prior ones had it, and it's going to set a ridiculous, absurd precedent for every new character release, where instead of just making a team stronger, or instead of just like making a new team itself, it makes every other team in the game stronger. Boy, oh boy. And so yes, that's why we're covering it this early, because it needs to be covered before the game is ruined. So with that, let me know what you all think. I think this is an awful, terrible situation. Peace out.